Hello, my name is Hannah Broaden. I just want to say thank you so much for taking time to watch this presentation. Today's topic of this presentation is on the bottom of the pyramid marketing, essentially how that works and how the company P&G implemented this concept over across the world in India. Now, bottom of the pyramid marketing, just to kind of give a background of what it actually is essentially focusing on the consumers that are within a very highly limited financial means. Basically, the kind of basis we work off when thinking about this is those that are living off of $2 or less per day. Now, there's a huge potential for a bottom of the pyramid target market of consumers due to the exponential number of people within this sort of category, if you will. Essentially, there's about 4 billion people within this market, and it is expected to grow up to about 6 billion within the next 40 or so years. Strategies for this also consist of offering low cost, essentially low cost to make, as well as lower ticketed price items within a smaller size component. The way I like to think about it, I know many women could probably relate to me when they think about this, but immediately think of Neutrogena and how they have these single towelettes in small, tiny wrappers that are just single use. So it's very small packaging. It's a one and done sort of product, and it's very cheap, essentially. Now, when talking about the bottom of the pyramid marketing strategies, you have to look at what is called the 4 A's. Now, essentially, this is called the 4 A's specifically of addressing low-income users. Now, these 4 A's consist of awareness, affordability, acceptability, and availability. Now, P&G is a wonderful company to look at when assessing these 4 A's and kind of looking at how a company would implement these specifically. P&G essentially realized that they had a huge possible target market in India, specifically for men and shaving. They recognized that there's a large population of users that would be considered in this bottom of the pyramid, living off of $2 or less per day. And what they did was essentially create this razor that would be very cheap for both them to make, but also for them to sell, and allow these people over in India to essentially have a hygienic razor that they could use to shave their face, but also shave their face safely. Now, when talking about affordability as one of the A's, essentially what this razor was and how they came up with it was they created a razor that was just only a single blade, and it really only had 4 components to it. Now, typically their razors have about 25 components. One of their best known razors was the Gillette razor, and basically what they did was take this Gillette razor and chop off all the extra kind of pieces and see how they could make it in the lowest possible cost for them, but also be able to turn around and sell it as a low priced item to the people in India. Now, when we talk about availability, coming off of the idea of affordability, this razor essentially only would cost 15 rupees in Indian currency, but translated into American currency, this would be about 34 cents, with having the single blade refills as being only 12 cents in American currency, or 5 rupees, my bad. Now, coming off of this also comes with the idea of acceptability. For anyone to create a new product, it has to be accepted by your specific target market. Essentially, what P&G did was they did their research like any good company probably should do when it comes to creating a new product. P&G specifically allowed themselves to kind of be able to firsthand experience what their target audience would be experiencing by going into some Indian men's households and essentially really getting to see the way that their culture utilized the idea of shaving. The Indian men specifically would pretty much sit on the floor of their homes. They had no electricity, no mirror. They just had a bowl of water at their feet and essentially would shave using the bowl of water, and their prime goal was to avoid any sort of nicks or cuts. And P&G took this information into consideration when creating their single blade razor. Now, lastly is this idea of awareness, figuring out how to have their products in different outlets and how they're actually going to sell this product. Most likely, they adopted what their rival company called Unilever would have adopted, and this was essentially what their process was they utilized this group of Indian women, and they already knew the community. They already had a great sales force utilizing them, and they worked off of the pre-existing relationships, their pre-existing knowledge of the terrain and all the other communities in where they would have lived, as well as their various communication tactics. And they utilized these women as their sales force to be able to sell these razors in a way that these people would not feel that the company was infringing or pushing anything on them, but in a way that they were being felt like it was more of a gesture, a kind gesture in a way, as to not step on anyone's feet and to keep both parties essentially happy. Now comes the hard question of, is bottom of the pyramid marketing ethical? The way I like to think about it is essentially it comes down to if a company is offering a product that could be deemed as something that is a necessity. We know that this group, the specific target market, is really just living off of essentially the bare minimum, barely survivable, only $2 a day. And I like to think about it is, if we were sitting from our standpoint, I have to say I am incredibly privileged. So the way I would like to think about it is, if I'm standing from my standpoint, is it something I would spend my discretionary income on? And if it is something that's not deemed necessary upon that basis, it would not be something that I would be okay with selling to a bottom of the pyramid target market. Moving on, specifically thinking about the idea of selling to a bottom of the pyramid market in the US, there is thousands, almost billions of people that are essentially living off of simply $30,000 a year, and this is deemed right under the poverty line in the US for a family of 5. Now, when I like to think about what would be a good way to essentially market to our specific target market of bottom of the pyramid within the US, I like to think of the best way for a company to essentially market their product, if it is a pre-existing product that they're trying to market to the specific group, would be essentially to partner with a nonprofit. This allows for an increase in visibility, as it allows for this specific market to already be around probably what they're used to being around. If it is essentially a community where they're like-minded in that way, and they're all sort of living off of this standard of income, but it also will allow these people to have access to this product. By doing this, I feel the best way for a company to essentially not only market but sell their product would be to utilize these nonprofits. This would allow this specific target market to access these products and not have a fear of them essentially running out on shelves in things like Walmart, or things like even just the Dollar General, by people who are essentially just trying to get something for dirt cheap. This allows the specific target market to have access to these products, as well as have a visibility of what type of products are accessible to them. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking time to watch this presentation. I hope there was a lot learned from this, specifically about bottom of the pyramid marketing. So thank you.